Topic number one here of the conversation, coming off a really good Iron Bowl, Alabama getting the 42-13 win. And the question is, are the days numbered for Steve Sarkisian as an offensive coordinator at Alabama? Are the days numbered for Sark as Alabama's OC, just based off how he performed in acting in replacement of Nick Saban as head coach and getting this impressive 42-13 Iron Bowl win? Are the days numbered for Sarkisian as an offensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide? And first and foremost, let me say this: I'm proud of Sark. 100% thrilled, happy, proud of the way Sarkisian performed here in the matchup. I know all week there must have been some nerves going through his mind. There must have been some jitters going through him, seeing how you're so used to having Coach Saban out there on the field, on the sideline, coaching, giving direction, giving orders, orchestrating the whole thing. He's been doing it for 14 years, kind of fancies himself as the Iron Man, never misses a game, never misses a moment. But Sarkisian got the opportunity to coach in place of Nick Saban, as Saban had the mild coronavirus symptoms there, on last week. But he prepared Sark for the moment. He spoke with Sark. He ran through the game plan, and he trusted the 46-year-old talented offensive coordinator to run the show. Now, a lot of people were nervous. A lot of people were nervous going to the Iron Bowl because it was like, Saban's not coaching, Saban's not here. Oh my gosh, what does this mean? Does this give Auburn an advantage? Does this give Auburn an edge because Coach Saban is not on the sideline? I'm nervous, I'm scared. And you had a lot of people nervous out there. Well, some people nervous out there, but Sarkisian immediately put those to bed with the first play of the game, a little pump and go from Mac Jones to Devontae Smith for a touchdown, 66-yard bomb there. And after that moment, people were like, Sark's got this. Calm down. Sarkisian's good. He's fine. He's money in the bag. He can get this done. And Steve Sarkisian definitely got it done. I mean, prior to the game, he probably had a bunch of text messages, phone calls, emails, voicemails, encouraging word messages. And then, after the game, he was probably hit with a lot of, way to go, man. You did it. We're proud of you. You did that thing. You represented. Coach Saban's proud, and Coach Saban was definitely proud as he sat at home for the game. And, after the match, we got a chance to speak to the media and talked about how proud he was of everyone, including Steve Sarkisian. I remember on last week's editions of shows on Friday, we had a call that mentioned how for Alabama, it's got to jump out to an early lead on Auburn, force them to play catch up, score the ball quick, score the ball efficiently, all of those things Sarkisian did. And the play design he had throughout the game was very, very strong when you talk about getting different people to pop here offensively. First and foremost, Mac Jones. And Mac came off his worst game statistically against Kentucky, but with Sarkisian, Jones bounced back with one of his better games in the Iron Bowl. 18 for 26 passing, 302 yards, had 5 touchdowns. His 5 scores, he's right there with Tua Tagovailoa and Gary Hollingsworth. Talk about a blast from the past there, Gary Hollingsworth. He's right there with Tagovailoa and Hollingsworth as the third quarterback to toss for 5 touchdown passes in a single game. Jones also there with Tua as the second Alabama quarterback in the history of Tide football to have 5 touchdown passes in the Iron Bowl. The 5 scores, a career high for Mac Jones. He had 2 of those to Devontae Smith, 2 of those to John Mechie, and 1 of those to Jaleel Billingsley at tight end. So coming off his worst game statistically against Kentucky, the game planning of Steve Sarkisian got Mac Jones going, got Mac Jones revved up, got him prepared. And it also doesn't hurt to have a little bit of added motivation, as one Bo Nix, Auburn quarterback, during the week of player interviews talked about, well, Mac's a great game manager. He does the right things. He manages the situations well. He gets the ball to the playmakers, taking those subtle shots there at Mac. But the duo of Sark and Mac got that thing stitched up and went out there and shredded an Auburn defensive secondary out there on the field. Along with Mac, Steve Sarkisian's game plan really helped Najee Harris. This was the 7th game this year where Najee had over 100 yards from scrimmage. Harris, 11 carries, 96 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, including the 39-yard burst to pay dirt he had for the score. He also had 2 receptions for 34 yards and all 130 yards from scrimmage. So Najee Harris showing you, I can run the ball tough in between the tackles. I can bounce plays outside. I can catch the ball out of the backfield. I can hurdle defenders. I am a complete running back. So Sark's game plan really helped out with Najee Harris. When you roll on down to Devontae Smith, self-explanatory. Smitty, 7 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. His 5th 100-yard game of a season, having an incredible year, and Sark was just finding so many different ways to get him the football, whether it was on deep routes, whether it was on post patterns, whether it was little bubble screens. He found different ways to get Smitty the ball in space and let him go to work. Coach Saban talked about today in speaking with the media, one of the cool things about Smitty is some receivers, they just know the X position. Some receivers just know the Z or the flanker position. Some receivers just know the H or the slot. With Devontae Smith, he knows every single position across the board at wide receiver, and you can manipulate him by putting him in many different spots to control the eyes of a defensive secondary. So Smitty there, a huge performance. John Mechie had a good game there from Sark's plan. 6 catches for 55 yards, 2 scores there from Mechie. And how about Jaleel Billingsley, the sophomore tight end from Chicago? Getting him to pop, getting more players to pop here is Steve Sarkisian. And for you as fans, you guys have been wondering, do we have that next tight end to put us in the mind of an O.J. Howard or an Irv Smith Jr.? Alabama is starting to develop that with Jaleel Billingsley against Kentucky. 3 catches for 78 yards. Came back against Auburn, 2 catches for 33 yards, including a 24-yard touchdown reception. So Sark is getting so many guys to pop, so many guys to flow, so many guys to have success offensively. And just this season, when you look at Mac Jones with Sark has Mac Jones, second in the nation for completion percentage, 76.2%. Sark has Mac, 2,728 passing yards. That's 6th in college football. He's got Mac with 23 touchdown passes. That's tied for 5th in the country. He's got Mac with a 208 quarterback or 208 passer rating. That's 2nd in the country. He's also got Mac with a 95.5 QBR. That's 1st in college football. When you look at Najee Harris, 17 rushing touchdowns, 1st in college football. Devontae Smith, 72 receptions, 3rd in college football. 1,074 yards, 3rd in college football. 12 touchdowns. Smitty leads the country in that respect. And Smitty, the 4th wide receiver in the history of the Alabama football program with multiple 1,000-yard campaigns, joining Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, and DJ Hall. Steve Sarkisian has been a lot here, this program, in these last 2 years. And the question is, will Alabama be able to hold on to him for the long haul? Because a lot of people, a lot of national eyes saw that game. Not just national eyes in college football, but national eyes in the NFL. They saw that performance that Sark put on, and in their mind, they're going, he can still do it. He can still coach a whole team. He can still run a whole program. He can still orchestrate the whole gamut here. And there are going to be a lot of suitors here in college football and maybe even in the NFL in the offseason that will ring Sark's phone, and look at him and go, Sark, Coach Saban doesn't really want you for real, man. Coach Saban don't need you for real, Sark. Like, Coach Saban can hit one button and the very next coach, the very next big-time coach will come to Alabama. They won't miss a beat because they're Alabama. Sark, we need you more than our next puff of air. Sark, we need you more than that girl at the club that want that man so badly. I got to shoot my shot. He's so fine. I got to shoot my shot. Sark, we need you more than that brother at the club that sees the baddest woman in a sundress and he like, woo, baby, I got to holler at her and shoot my shot because I can't let that pass me by. We need you, Sark, more than that. You're going to have a lot of people, a lot of teams that are going to make offers to Sarkisian in the offseason just due to how he has performed here for the Crimson Tide. I mean, I know he signed a 3-year extension worth $7.5 million back on August 5th. I know he did. And in his heart of hearts, Sark wants to remain here. Sark wants to be here. And it would be really, really interesting. But it's going to be something because Sark's got value now. He's got big value, high value. And when you look at the coaches that have come through Nick Saban's coaching rehab here, Lane Kiffin, the biggest success story of the rehab. At first, people thought Kiffin not going to work, Kiffin too controversial, Kiffin doesn't, meet the Bama standard, doesn't meet the Bama requirement, but he came in here, he revolutionized the offense, he started winning, he started producing, he started bringing the program championships, he started, producing Heisman winners and Biletnikoff Award winners, and the moment you started to give your heart to Kiffin, he goes off to Florida Atlantic. Now he's back in the SEC with Ole Miss. The same thing for Mike Locksley. The same thing for Dan Enos. The same thing for guys like Josh Gaddis. They came to the coaching rehab. They were huge in what they did, whether it was offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator, wide receivers coach, whatever they did. They came in, they served a purpose, they were elite, they got players to pop, they made the Crimson Tide better in a lot of areas, and the players really bought into them. And the moment you started to give your heart toward that coach, they took another job. They took another job and went elsewhere, and you're like, man, I really like that coach. Dang, I really like that coach. Man, that guy was cool. I mean, why could Alabama not keep that guy around? So we're in the same situation now with Steve Sarkisian. A lot of people look at him as the coach in waiting for the Tide. I would like to see him stick around, absolutely, not just in calling the offense, but maybe even take over for Coach Saban once he chooses to call it a career. Now, as of right now, I still see Sark coaching. I still see Sark at least 2 to 3 more years, especially with him working with Bryce Young and working with Paul Tyson and trying to get one of those two guys to pop here at the quarterback position. But are Sarkisian's days numbered as the OC for the Crimson Tide based off his performance in the Iron Bowl? Just something to think about right there. Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.